Hi everybody, Father Bill Holtzinger here, and this is your Friday Reflection. Well, a lot of stuff to talk about, so I'll try to be concise. But number one, I'm glad to be back. I was gone for a week. I left on the 14th and came back on the 23rd, so roughly a week. So we all know, right, the crazy weather had happened, and a lot of us were locked down. Well, this is interesting. At the church, we're actually fortunate to have little issues. We did have some. As I was about to leave on that Sunday out of the church, two of our sprinklers, you can see them here, two of our fire suppression sprinklers right outside the doors went off. And of course, it's in the teens, so it's very, very cold, and that'll freeze. I can just imagine an ice skating rink. Luckily, Deacon Brett was there, made a phone call, was able to figure out what valve we needed to turn off, and turned off that valve, and that shut them down, which, thank God, good deal. And I thought that was it. And so I left, and I went on to my destination, and the next day, Father Anthony came for daily mass, and water was dripping down from one of the other, let's say, spots in the narthex, but this time inside. One of the fire suppression sprinklers was dripping. It wasn't spraying, but it was dripping around it, as well as around one of the speakers. So there was a leak somewhere. Well, Father Anthony was very quick to figure out to get a bucket and put that underneath there and try to mop up what he could, and then went ahead and offered mass. The water kept going for a while. What we figured out, as best as we know, that above is an area where the roof hits a vertical spot, and there's a vent there. And so snow, or whatever ice and snow, was piling up against that, but then dripping down that vent, causing water to go inside the church and then land on the upper part of the ceiling of the narthex, and then that was why it was dripping down. So if you come in, you'll see a square hole kind of cut out where that sprinkler is, and all the distance, all the ceiling that is forward of that towards the doors has water damage. So we may have to cut some more away, but that's the most of it that we know of. Over at St. Cecilia's, at Pius X, and both of them had much worse situations. St. Cecilia had an actual water pipe break near over their library, and also in their offices. St. Pius X had other things, more structural damage. I don't know the details, but I can tell you that they were working very hard, and praise the Lord, they had people just right there to be able to help, that they could call, get things worked on, and so those are under process to be prepared. And just pray for all our brothers and sisters who are at St. Cecilia and Pius X, that they can get that straightened out. There's some other parishes that, gosh, during this last week, didn't even get to open up hardly at all. So I'm thinking about St. Thomas More, there's morning church. They had issues. I don't know all the details, but we had some people from there come to us over the week, during the weekdays. So, gosh, hopefully things are getting back to normal for them. So here's my little brief of the trip. The trip itself down to Southern Oregon, that's where I went, Southern Oregon, to see friends and people down south, former parishioners, etc. And it was wonderful, but getting there was tricky. It was dry pavement where the tires were here on 217 through I-5 and down and beyond Wilsonville, which was great. But as I approached Salem, it started getting more icy. And as I went further down, even more icy till I got to Eugene, and the whole road was icy. It was chunky and broken up, but it was still icy. And then when I finally got to Cottage Grove, that's when I started noticing more, and there were cars sometimes and trucks on the sides of the roads, but now I'm seeing more cars. And on the left-hand side, this video of these two jackknifed trucks and their trailers that they're carrying, stopping all the traffic. And while they were working on that, there were some more further down in Cottage Grove, to the point where it was just deadlocked, and there was no going anywhere. And so you see this video that I'm showing you now. This video is me just driving. I don't know, I was probably driving maybe almost 10, 20 miles, and it was just dead stop, total stop. Those folks, I feel so bad for, because they were there for, well, overnight and into the next day, maybe even 18, 20, 24 hours. It was horrible. When I was returning back, that first semi that you saw in that video that had jackknife was still there, and they were finally unloading the items out of it. Coming back was actually really good. It was very simple to get back, no problems. But it was interesting, before I left the Southern Oregon area, because of these backups, there was no gas. They shut down gas stations all over the place. Costco didn't have anything. Fred Meyer got cordoned off their gas stations. Maybe small gas stations here or there were offering diesel and super, but that was about it. Well, I was going to have to decide on Wednesday if I was going to drive back early, or my plan was to go to the coast for a few days because I was going to offer the masses back at St. Anne in Grants Pass on Sunday. Well, as I'm trying to figure out what to do and praying about this, I went to see some folks on Wednesday for lunch and thought I'd kind of drive around and see if there's anybody in the gas stations. And sure enough, they were serving up gas. So I topped my car off and went to the coast. It was beautiful. The Brookings area, actually Smith River area, was wonderful. I put my dog out there. That's a wonderful place where I've let my dogs in the past kind of run free, but not this time anymore. So Snickers was not a good boy. I let him off leash. He went up forward without me for a bit, and I called him back, and he came back. But then I let him go again, and he never came back after that. I had to go get him. In fact, there's the ocean, the beach where I was walking, and then there's the berm, and there's some entryways into the houses beyond that. So he was sniffing along that berm, and sure enough, he found a little opening where he can go in there, because what's after the houses is the highway, Highway 101. And so I was booking it. As soon as he made that turn into there, and I stopped seeing him. He didn't care that I was, not following him. That's what my concern was. He wasn't returning. So I ran as fast as I could to get him, snagged him, and pretty much that kind of answered my question. Will he come back if for some reason he's away and I'm walking away? And the answer now is no, he won't. So he is not to be trusted off the leash at all unless he's in my backyard where it's fenced. So that's sad, but it's what it is. I'm glad to learn that, but I was kind of scared because even when I put him on leash, I was praying, Lord, is this the right thing to do? Please help me. If it is not, to still capture him so he doesn't get himself killed. But now I know, and there we go. So that's a trip. And again, I'm glad to be back. So what's coming up in this next week? Well, let me, actually, before I get to that, I am very aware, while I was gone, of all that was going on up here. The amazing ice storm, the trees that were falling all over the place. And coming back, the devastation I saw of trees formerly over the streets, it's just a mess. And I know we had to cancel school every single day last week. And that was, well, I don't know if the kids loved that, but that wasn't great for a lot of families because they couldn't not just come to church. Their houses, a lot of the people's houses were without power, and they were plunging into the teens and the 20s or 30s, and it was just freezing for people. So there was no way that they could even necessarily stay home because they didn't have the ability to heat their houses. So my prayers were with everyone. And yes, there were some deaths, and some of them were very tragic. And if you listen to my podcast that I posted, there was one event that really kind of struck me, a heroic thing that a young adult did to save a baby. And maybe you already know that story. Okay, so now moving to what's coming up this week. Well, right, I'm publishing this, or I'm recording this on Thursday, publishing it also on Thursday, so that if you catch it on Friday, there's an event that wasn't our bulletins before, but this last week we didn't have our bulletins to be able to be seen, but our Aging with Grace ministry, which is on Fridays, in this case it'll be Friday 1 to 2:30, is hosting an event, hosting a person named Andy Wallace from the Washington County's Disability, Aging, and Veteran Services. He's going to offer a presentation on trustworthy use of technology, particularly the internet. And so how can you go online and be safe? If you're a senior, he wants to help you stay safe. There's a lot of scams. There's billions of dollars that have been lost because people from other countries have scammed people out saying, I need to get, so like iTunes cards, or your Microsoft is expired, and there's just a bunch of other things. And then they threaten people with, saying the government's going to come after you, the police is going to arrest you, you need to pay whatever amount. People have lost their entire savings because of this. It's horrible. Anyway, I hope you can go to that. That sounds like a very profitable thing for anyone who goes. Following that, on Saturday evening and through the weekend, Deacon Brett will be preaching. I think he's got a great topic. I won't tell you what it is, but just say this, to put it this way. If you're a seeker, if you are somebody who's been seeking out God or seeking out the joy in your life, but you keep getting it wrong, you're seeking out things that actually cause more destruction, what's going on? What is it that we need to be aware of? How do we find where God is calling us? And I'm going to leave it with that. So he'll get into it. We talked about this on Wednesday. We're trying to fish it out because it's a tough topic to address, but I look forward to hearing it myself. So that's his homily. And then the big thing is this weekend, starting on Sunday, but we'll actually move it into Saturday. Saturday evening vigil is the beginning of Catholic Schools Week. And what's wonderful about this is that in the masses throughout all kinds of different parts of the ministries, being that lector, being greeters, being ushers, etc., altar servers, and the choir will be our kiddos from the school. And this is going to be great. So it's going to be all the masses, and they're going to be piecemeal throughout. There will be some adults like doing a reading, but then there will be a child doing a reading. So it's going to be spattered throughout the rest of the masses. And this is a great weekend to come. So maybe you didn't come last week and you're still kind of concerned about the weather, but no more weather issues. And boy, do we have a treat. It's going to be wonderful. And of course, God's going to show up. Jesus is going to show up because of the Eucharist, right? This is what we come for. But it's wonderful that we can have great singing, a great homily, great hospitality. Those are those three things we look for to kind of help bring people in. And I hope you can be there. I will be there, and I look forward to saying hello to you again. God bless you. Bye-bye.